everybody. It's Roger and James here, Thunder Disc Kingdom Podcast. In this episode, we're just going to have a bit of a chat about video games. We haven't done one of these in a while, and just sort of catch up with what we've been doing, what we've been playing, what we've been enjoying. Some of it's going to be Disney related, some of it's not going to be Disney related, because sometimes, well, unless they've released games, we can't really play them. So let's start off with James. So what have you been playing lately?
The main thing I've been playing is Ni no Kuni 2, which is an RPG on the PlayStation 4. It's done in the Studio Ghibli style, which is the Japanese animation studio, Hayao Miyazaki.
Is that owned by Disney, or do they just have the distribution rights or something?
They have the distribution rights in America, and Pixar has done the voice acting for the American lines. So they get like John Ratzenberger and all those guys. To do they did Howl's Moving Castle, Spirited Away, etc.
Yeah.
So this isn't by Studio Ghibli. It's done in conjunction with them. It's very similar, but it's very colorful. It's very engaging. It's also very easy. They did just add a new hard and expert mode to the game, which is kind of why I jumped back in. Even by my standards, it was too easy on normal mode, and you and I are both on the same. I'm not here to challenge myself and conquer the hardest difficulty on the game, but this one I was like, maybe I can bump this up a little bit so I get a bit of a challenge. So there's that, and then also been playing some more of Lego Incredibles, kind of finishing that one up. And our review from a couple weeks ago, nothing to add to that. It's still very fun, but it's just another Lego game, really.
I kind of went through the campaign, had a bit of a mess about in the area. I didn't go too deep because the game doesn't officially come out in the UK for a couple more weeks. And I was playing another version of it from somebody else. It's like, well, I might jump into it properly when it comes out over here, but I didn't want to get too deep into it and redo it because I don't know, it just wasn't. I sunk at least 5-10 hours into that game, but I wasn't being drawn into it. And I said it during our episode, a thing of just that it wasn't drawing me in. I had other games I wanted to play instead of, and it was like, okay, got a new Disney game I want to play. I was like, this just feels the same, and I just wasn't excited about it. It just wasn't getting me interested at all, and I was really surprised at that. I was expecting to kind of be. I mean, I've always, I've enjoyed game. I would never say I was, it's like Lego DC. It's like not even going to touch it but I've enjoyed playing Lego games and Lego Dimensions and going through all of that. But it's a Lego game, and I think that was the problem for it. I was sitting there going, I could be playing something else here. I could be putting my time into something because I was liking it, but I wasn't like, oh my god, I've got to keep playing this.
Right, and I think there's a certain amount of fatigue for the Lego games at this point with us because we've been playing so many of them over the past couple of years. It's just kind of like, okay, it's another one. There's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly good. But we've been playing so many Lego games. It's just like, all right,
but also
it's another Lego game.
We've got the Ant-Man and the Wasp probably set either out already or is coming out now. So we're gonna every time one of these DLC packs I've been jumping into it. So I've been playing, like we said, Lego Marvel Superheroes every few weeks because of these new content packs, and playing it for half an hour, maybe going for it twice just to kind of see, have a look in the roaming area. So I didn't really feel like I'd had it wasn't like, oh, I haven't played a Lego game for 6 months or a year. It was like, I only played the Cloak and Dagger set, or it was, and I think that might have been the issue. Maybe it wasn't different enough to make it feel different.
Yeah, and I mean, we're going to be jumping back into Lego Marvel Superheroes this week for the Ant-Man and Wasp content, which is coming out. So, yeah, there's definitely kind of that. We've continued to play it, and there's not much incentive.
No.
But, okay, so other than Lego Incredibles, I've been doing a couple others, but let's hear what you've
Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. I picked this up just before I went on holiday. It only came out like the beginning of May. It was a Wii U game. I didn't have the Wii U game, but this This is one of those games, and again, this is where all these ports of the Wii U stuff come into the Switch. It's fine with me because I skipped the Wii U, so I'm getting to play some of their big games. It's fun, it's colourful, it's hard. I'll be honest, I flipped onto the Cranky Kong with his surfboard, and there are some levels where I am literally like, oh my god, I've just tried, like, well, there's one level, I think I go through 40 lives just because I just could not get the rhythm right between the tracks when I was jumping, and some of the boss battles. And yeah, I've been really enjoying playing Tropical Freeze, and I want to try and see if I can. I want to try and get it done before Captain Toad comes out. I want to try and get the game finished. But it's quite, even on the easiest setting, this game is, I can see why they added the Cranky Kong thing to let people like me play the latest levels, because I don't think I would have got, if they didn't have that mode, I don't think I'd get anywhere near where I am now.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a game I'm going to pick up, but I do remember loving the original Donkey Kong Country back on the N64 Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo, yeah.
Way back then.
Yeah.
I do remember playing those. I loved those games. But yeah, I no longer have the patience for that kind of difficulty. In fact, I was watching one of my friends stream Super Mario World.
Yeah.
That classic one from the Super Nintendo, and even then I was like, wow, that was a difficult game, and that wasn't like the Nintendo era ones, because those ones are brutal. But speaking of that, kind of segue into another game there, which is the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. I got a review code of that for the Switch, and I had never played the Crash Bandicoot games. The only experience I had with Crash was his little Skylanders figure from their last game. So that was my first jump into Crash, and while I had fun with the game, at the same time I was like, I don't have the patience to deal with this. This is crazy, because there are parts of it where it's like you literally have to memorize the levels in order to get the jumps right and to avoid the obstacles. I'm just like, it comes from a different time. That was PlayStation 1 era, but I don't have the patience for it anymore. But for anyone curious, it is a very, very good port. So if you've been trying to jump into Crash, go for it.
I have actually got it. I got it on. I think it only came out on Friday, so it's only like a few days ago it came out. I jumped into the first game and had a bit of a mess about with it, but again, I'm a bit like, it's that thing of like when I pre-ordered it months ago. I hadn't really. I thought I was going to be done with Donkey Kong because I was going to play some more on my holiday, and I didn't get to play any on my holiday because I was too busy. So it's like one of those things of I forgot I pre-ordered and it arrived, and I'm like, oh, I actually haven't got time to play it. And of course, it's free games. But I jumped into it. I did play Crash Bandicoot when it came out on the PlayStation originally. I've not played 2 or 3, so I'm coming in fresh. So I was playing through the first level and going, oh, they really have upped the quality of the graphics, and it's a lot of fun. I picked it up because it was cheap. It was only like I think like 25 quid for free games. I'm like, it's fine. The Switch has become my platformer game of just like, so I have got it. I am going to be playing it, but it's probably going to be something I'm going to just jump in and out of. It's not something like that. Because I also want to play Hollow Knight, which is a new platformer, which apparently that came out last week, which is very good. And I also downloaded a game which came out while I was on holiday, which I played originally back at EGX last year, which is like Yoki's Island Express, where you play, it's a side-scrolling game, but you're a little beetle with a ball, and it's a scroller, but it's a pinball game. And so it's really good. It looks beautiful. It's only like 10, 12 quid. It's really good. I found it, like I said, last year at some little indie booth, and it's a really fun game. I think IGN and stuff are giving it 8s and 9s. It's beautiful to play, very relaxing. So you've got to get the things to open the doors. So it's like pinball, but a side-scrolling pinball at the same time, and it's a really fun little game. And again, the Nintendo's become my indie box. I can't believe how many indies I've been playing since this machine has just kind of opened up. These were stuff I used to play like Vita kind of thing, but now the Switch is kind of I'm just playing so many, and they're all these like 2D platformer things that I loved, and they're all just I don't buy them on the PlayStation. I buy them on the Switch because it's just that perfect thing. But this is a really good little indie game that I recommend people to go check out because it's not probably is. It didn't get a lot of. It launched stupidly the week before E3. I think it was a mistake doing that, and I'm hoping. I think there's a lot of people sleeping on it, but it is a really good, fun game.
What was that called again?
I think it's Yoko's Island Express. It's
never even heard of it, but
it's really fun. See, this is sometimes where you can get into that thing of you end up going down you go to a show or you go to a thing or you play a game and you can get caught up in something very different. And it's fun because I was like listening to Unlocked yesterday in the podcast, and they were talking about how like casual people, I do play Madden, do play Call of Duty, and you're like, oh, don't play Madden. But you can end up getting caught on these little indies that just grab you, because like Hollow Knight is another one, like I said, that's supposed to be really good. And, for all this, I mean, they're dropping, 24 games a week on the Switch at the moment. There's just so much stuff coming to it. And, again, it's the summer of, there's nothing out. There's a lot of, my back catalogue is so big at the moment.
Yeah, they've definitely brought out more than we were expecting them to. And then, of course, all the AAA launches are coming out in the very near future. So, yeah.
Yes, I'm hoping, to be honest, it's like my plan is the next 2 months, clear out Donkey Kong. I got Captain Toad coming, so that'll be another nice one to play. But then once we hit into Spider-Man, Assassin's Creed, WWE, Hitman 2, Red Dead, and then Kingdom. I'm kind of glad in some way Kingdom Hearts kind of moved back a month because I still need to finish Kingdom Hearts 2. So I'm thinking that's going to be my plan for August. But yeah, no, I've been jumping around a lot. I think because April was just God of War. That would just. I'd literally, it would be like my wife would go to bed and I'd fire that up and I'd play it for 3 hours till I had to go to bed. And I wanted to, and I haven't been having that with the other games that we've been playing, but I think that thing of God of War completely just sucked me in and after I finished God of War, I just wanted something a little bit lighter. And so a couple of these things like Donkey Kong and these Nintendo games have been great. I mean, I don't think my PlayStation's even, other than Lego Incredibles, has barely been fired up.
Yeah, actually, all the games that I've talked about haven't been on PlayStation except for Ni no Kuni, which is also out on PC. So, But yeah, I think I did a podcast with Bad Gamer earlier this week, and we were talking like, I don't think I actually turned my PlayStation on since the last time we talked, which was 3 or 4 weeks before that. But that doesn't mean I haven't been gaming. There have been plenty of stuff going on. For you, it's been on Switch. For me, it's been on PC. And, it's just, this was supposed to be the dry period, and it hasn't been.
No. I've been looking at things like Game Pass and stuff because I saw like The Division and Fallout 4 would come onto it, and it's like, maybe I should try State of Decay and maybe try out Sea of Thieves and see what that's all about. It's just like I don't have enough time to play all these, and it's like Game Pass. I'm like, yeah, they keep putting stuff on there because I'll be honest. I saw what the PlayStation Plus stuff has been the last year, and I ended up buying a really cheap 12-month subscription, and I'm sitting there going, everything that's dropping on, I don't play any of them. I don't play anything that they're putting on there because it's all old rubbish. It's just nothing. At least Xbox are giving you, like we had Indiana Jones. I still haven't fired that up yet. We've had stuff come through on there that has been fun. My Xbox Live Games with Gold does keep bringing me in, but my PlayStation Plus account is just like, I got all these games and I don't know, I never play them.
Yeah, and this coming month, the July batch, there are literally no PlayStation games on PS Plus that I want to get. Now, that hasn't been true in past months. I've normally found at least one game where I'm like, I'm glad to have that in my collection. Whether or not I'll play it is another matter, but I'm glad it's there. This one, I'm literally like, I think it was Heavy Rain and some other game.
Yeah.
I played Heavy Rain. It is one of 2 games that I absolutely cannot stand, and I will never play again. And I will, in fact, never play another game by that creator again because I was so pissed off by that game. He recently had Detroit Becoming Human, which is extremely popular right now, but I'm refuse to touch that. But even the Xbox games this month,
a bit light.
I'm a big fan of Splinter Cell Conviction, which is it's a great game, but I played it to death on the Xbox 360. So I'll be happy to have it in my collection. So if I get the urge to play it, I'll have it. But with the exception of that, I'm looking at the games going, no, you know what?
You can really see how they are leveling up Game Pass. Personally, it's like, why don't you make it £10 a month, merge the two into one, and just be done with it, and get rid of. I don't know. It feels a little bit like I saw like Fallout 4 and it's like Division, because I saw the stuff in Division 2 for me free and going. I like Tom Clancy games. I think Splinter Cell, Ghost Recon. I got it, and I think like Rainbow Six was another one. So I have played a lot of Tom Clancy games. So the Division was like, I could maybe try that one up. And then like Wildlines, and we tried that free weekend that came on a few months ago. And I think you were a bit like, and I sunk like 4 days every night. I sunk like 10, 15 hours into that game. And I was like, I could actually, it's like 20 quid to buy them. I actually could have. It's like, I like that game. It was like I could have carried on playing that. But again, it was, I think, something else came out, and then it was like, well, I've already spent some money.
No, I really liked Wildlands. It was actually currently my favorite of the Tom Clancy games, although I wish they would bring back the Hawks franchise. But I think when it had that free weekend, I'd finished the game already by that point. I was like, I've moved on. But I loved Wildlands. Having said that, the Division 2, I look at it and I go, yeah, but the Division 1 burned me really bad. I did not like the Division 1. So many bullet sponge enemies. It was not well balanced. It took a very long time for that game to reach anywhere near the potential of what it could have been. So I'm not touching the Division 2. I consider it another Destiny kind of title where, it looks really pretty. Looks really pretty. It's got some very good gameplay loops to it, but
Destiny 2 didn't. I brought that one, played it, because I got hooked in with all the hype, and I played it. 10 hours into it, and I was like, just finding the story just dull, and I didn't really. It's like I just stopped playing, and I got bored of it. So yeah, it's just been sat there, and now they pretty much given it away because it's full of hype, and it was gone in a few weeks.
Well, they didn't learn any of the lessons from the first Destiny. And in fact, it seemed like they actively were going out of their way to be like, yeah, we're going to make Destiny 2 even more disappointing than Destiny 1. I mean, it was in the Humble Bundle, like only 3 or 4 or 5 months after it came out. It was $12 to get Destiny 2. And even then, people were like, nah, it's not really worth my time. So, and I'm getting the same vibe from the Division 2. Yeah. So even if I play it, it will be like months after release, and once I've been able to get people to confirm, oh wait, no, there's actually a lot of depth to this game. The enemies aren't bullet sponges. Like, there were some enemies in the first Division where it was like, I emptied 2 or 3 clips into this guy, and they're still standing. And I'm not ready to do that, especially when you got Wildlands, where you can literally just be like, all right, double tap, that guy's down, double tap, that guy's down, which is much more interesting and just a more fun game all around. But, we'll see. I really wish they had announced a new Splinter Cell, or even just a remaster of Conviction and Blacklist. But, obviously they didn't want to distract from the Division, so.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been a big fan of Splinter Cell since the original Xbox. I mean, I've played every one. I am a big fan of that franchise, and so that for me will be an instant one to get into. It's just that thing of we're in that little bit of a lull of we're at the end of the life cycle of the console, where a lot of the big new exciting stuff I think is being held back for PlayStation 5 and Xbox 960 or whatever they're going to call it.
I think that would be a massive mistake, but yeah, it's probably true too.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're at the point now where PlayStation 5 is 2019, 2020. We're getting to that thing of it's coming. We're at the end of the life cycle of these consoles. They've been around 2013. It's 2018 now. It's as much as everyone loves these. I can see what Xbox are doing with this upgrading infrastructure, just turning into. They're in a better position where they can just keep upping it, but at some point they're going to have to knock off support for the Xbox One and.
Well, I mean, PlayStation's in the same boat. They're going to have to at some point either go. You have to have a PlayStation 4 Pro, or we're going to PlayStation 5, and it'll probably happen the same with the PSVR. You know, your PSVR headset's no longer good. You need to get the PSVR 2 if you want to continue getting the new games. A lot of this stuff, you know, the technology is just moving so fast that it's entirely possible that the next console cycle will basically just be PCs. You know, just pared down, make it simpler and make it easier, but still just PCs.
I mean, I think Xbox have already kind of done that with, like, the Xbox One X is just a powerful version, and this whole backwards compatible thing is because they're basically just turning it into a Steam box, so you can do it. I mean, PlayStation 5, there's a lot of talk already that everything's going to have to be backwards compatible because the world's changed on and it's all based on the same infrastructure. After the E3 thing, I really did feel like Xbox were making a lot of step forwards. But, it's that thing of, but it's like, there's not really, and like all the multi-platform stuff, it's like, I might as well just play it on the PS4 Pro. There's no point me buying an Xbox One X. I mean, other than the 4K Blu-ray, but I don't really want to spend 25 quid on a movie. But yeah,
I mean the prices will come down. They always do.
I think the biggest problem was the Switch. The Switch just came in and just like it's delivering games, and I think that's the biggest thing of like that's for me has become like. I mean, the Xbox is literally machine free because the Switch is just releasing stuff that I like. I like I like that mix between. Now, for me, it feels like between the big AAA ones and what Switch is doing, I'm getting a real like nice mix of different styles and different games.
Yeah, but at the same time, the Switch is. I don't know. I consider it more of a toy than anything else. It's got a lot of games and it's fun to pick up, you know, the older games that are getting re-released for it, and then of course the first party games. But any modern like game that's coming out right now that's multi-platform, I am not going towards the Switch on it because it can't hold up in terms of power, and then also in terms of multiplayer because Nintendo has this stupid backwards 1990s mentality of how to do multiplayer, online multiplayers, and it's just it can't hold up next to the others. But it is, as you said, a great system for picking up stuff from the last generation that's getting ported over now, having the ability to play it in the car. They really do need to come out with Switch 1.5 or something, which has like a battery that's 4 times as powerful than what they have now, though.
Yeah, I think the other big problem is for them is the summer's lacking a little. I mean, obviously they've done Donkey Kong, Toad, and you got the tennis game, but it's like let's go peek at Pokemon and Smash Brothers and Mario Party are like their big fall thing. And Smash Brothers is going to be a massive game. I've never played Smash Brothers, so I'm going into this actually. Everyone's so hyped. I've seen the thing. It's like that looks a lot of fun. I'm in on that. Doesn't come out till the end of December, so that's fine. Pokemon, I've never really understood the appeal of it. Let's Go I probably will pick up Let's Go Pikachu just because I want to. It's supposed to be a bit of an easier game to get in on, and it's like, yeah, okay. But for me, that big open world like Odyssey and Breath of the Wild was what I loved the most. And there's nothing like that coming out on the Switch this year because it's all, and that's the disappointing thing because I know once the season gets underway with Assassin's Creed and Spider-Man and things like that, that's where I'm going to be drawn to.
Yeah, I mean, Spider-Man is of course going to be huge for us, obviously. Even just the podcast, just talking about it. But I love the combat style of it. I love the visuals for it. I'm hoping that there's more content for it than we've kind of seen previews for. I think we talked about this in E3. I felt like it looked like New York was kind of empty, but I'm hoping that's just because it was a preview build and it's not what we're getting. but then also Odyssey. I did end up finally picking up Origins this past week. I have not played it yet, but I picked it up for PC, so I'm going to jump into that and at some point before Odyssey comes out. But I love the Greco-Roman history, the mythology of that particular era. I liked Egyptian as well, but not as much as I like the Greeks and the Romans. So I'm much more interested in Odyssey than I was for Origin. In the first
thing
place.
for me is the opposite, because Egypt was my some of my family members used to go there a lot, and even set up a couple of businesses and the house was full of Egyptian stuff. So I grew up with Egyptian history as quite a big part of our family. So it was kind of a unique situation. But no, I love that game. It's just that thing of it feels a little bit like this year we've kind of you got Lego Incredibles and Spider-Man, and that's our entire kind of sort of Disney video game, and Battlefront is still just plodding along. I mean, they've announced some updates, and then they're like, oh, there's a bit of a delay. It's like, well, you announced all this at E3. There's nothing new here, and coming out with 2 characters at in December, it's like, yeah, but that's a long time ago to try and keep 2 characters or a new map every 6 months is not really enough to keep jumping back into that game. And the daily credits, I don't care about any of that. It's like the game came out, I played it, everyone's moved on, and this is where these live service things, it's like they fall off because they're trying to never have an end game. And I like credits, and I like to move on. That's kind of like how I like to play games.
Yeah, and I mean, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, Destiny 2 and the Division 2 games that, well, I can't speak to the Division 2 because it's not out yet, but obviously the first Division, when it launched, Destiny 2 when it launched, all did not have an incredible amount of content available for you once you were done with it. And
you shouldn't really have a game where when you finish, when you've got bored, or something else better comes along. That's not really kind of like watching like a movie and going, well, when does it end? Well, it doesn't end until you decide to change the channel. It's basically just keep going.
I mean,
that's not the best idea.
I mean, you could say that describes a lot of say soap style television, Japanese animes that have been going on for literally decades at this point, stuff like that. But yeah, transitioning it to games, that really is an MMO or that style of game where it's just like, oh, well, you play until you no longer get your value out of continuing to play, and that's where it's at. But that does work for so many people. I mean, World of Warcraft is still going strong. I mean, not as strong as it used to, but it's still going strong, and it's got X million number of subscribers. So, there's an appeal there.
Yeah. But we'd love to know what you guys are playing at the moment. Let us know in the comments below, or get in touch with some of the different social media platforms which you can like, follow, subscribe, etc. Remember to go check us out over at DizKingdom.com. James, where can they find you?
Find me heroiclegacy.com.
On that note, guys, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back next week. See you soon.
Laters.